Good morning. Welcome to the Tain and Fearn Free Church Virtual Sunday School. If you go along to the Tain and Fearn Free Church Facebook page at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings, we're going to meet here to have a Bible story followed by questions and a craft. So here we are with the story.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. We're looking forward to learning more from Genesis, and this week we're actually going to work through quite a big chunk of Genesis, and we're basically looking at chapter 25 to 35. I certainly don't expect anybody to read through 10 chapters in a day, but it might be something you want to think about over the coming week. You might want to read maybe a chapter or so a day and read more of the story for yourself. We learned last week that Isaac and Rebekah were blessed with twins, and they were called Esau and Jacob, and they're both quite different. And it's a reminder that God makes us all unique, even twins. So we learned that Esau was hairy and he had hair on his skin and he had a different complexion, and Jacob was smooth-skinned. But that was just the outward appearance. They also had different characters. And we're learning now in chapters 25 to 35 of Genesis that they also had quite a complex relationship and they weren't always best of friends. I'm noticing that even in our house at the moment, that our children are good friends sometimes and don't get on so well at other times, and we're spending a lot of time together. So we're going to look a little bit at what happened with Esau and Jacob in their lives as they grew up. And we're working through quite a lot today, so I trust that you will be able to take it all in. If it's too much, you can pause the video at any time and just think back over what we studied. But it's a really lovely way to look through quite a big section of the Bible to see God's hand at work here. Esau's birthright. As the older son, Esau had the right to certain privileges called the birthright. This included a double share of the inheritance and the right to be the head of the family. One day Esau came in from hunting. He was absolutely ravenous. Jacob had been cooking and Esau could smell the lovely lentil stew. "Give me some of that stew," he asked. "I'm about to faint with hunger." "I'll give you some food," replied Jacob, "if you give me your birthright." "What use is a birthright to me if I die of hunger?" said Esau. So the agreement was made. Jacob had the birthright and Esau received some bread and lentil stew. The birthright didn't seem any important to him. Jacob's blessing. Isaac wanted to pray especially for his older son and heir, asking for God's blessing or favour. To be blessed is to be truly happy. This happiness is given by God. Rebekah overheard a conversation one day between old blind Isaac and his son Esau. Isaac was planning to give Esau his blessing and told him to go out hunting and bring back some venison for his favourite meal. Rebekah and Jacob worked out a trick. Rebekah quickly made a dish of goat stew, tasting like venison. Jacob dressed in Esau's clothes and put the young goat skins on his smooth hands and neck. He felt and smelt like Esau. Jacob then lied to his father and tricked him into thinking he was Esau. Isaac blessed Jacob, asking God to provide for him and make him prosper. Esau was so angry when he returned too late. He had lost the blessing as well as the birthright, and he vowed to kill Jacob. When Rebekah heard that Esau planned to kill Jacob, she urged him to escape to his uncle Laban's place. Jacob never saw his mother again. One night, Jacob lay down in the open air with a big stone as his pillow. As he slept, he dreamt that he saw a ladder going down from heaven to earth, and angels were going up and down it. God spoke to him in the dream, and as he had spoken to Abraham. "I am the God of Abraham and Isaac. I will give you this land. You and your children will be blessed." Jacob woke up, afraid and full of awe. He named the place where he had seen the vision Bethel, meaning house of God. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone that had been his pillow, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on it. He made a vow to follow the Lord and give him 1/10 of his income. As Jacob drew near his uncle Laban's home, he stopped at a well where he met Rachel, Laban's daughter. Jacob helped her to water her flock and introduced himself as Rebekah's son. Rachel ran to tell her father, who was delighted to meet his nephew and welcomed him to his home. Jacob agreed to work for Laban for 7 years, as long as he could marry Rachel. Jacob loved the beautiful Rachel so much that 7 years seemed like a very short time. However, Jacob the trickster was tricked himself. The bride arrived covered with a veil. When the veil was removed, Jacob discovered that he had married Leah, Rachel's older sister. "Why did you deceive me?" he demanded. "In our country, the younger sister cannot get married before the older," insisted Laban. "You can marry Rachel too if you work for another 7 years." Jacob did this and then wanted to return to Canaan with his family. Laban wasn't happy, as Jacob did good work for him. God told Jacob to return to the land of Canaan after his 20 years' absence. "I will be with you," he promised. With God's help, Jacob and his family, servants and people journeyed towards Canaan. Jacob was scared to go to Canaan. He would meet Esau again. He prayed to God to keep him and his family safe. Presents for Esau. Jacob sent servants ahead of him with presents to give to Esau. It was a very generous gift. 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 camels with their colts, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 donkeys, and 10 foals. "Tell him your servant Jacob is coming behind," he ordered. Jacob prayed for the safety of himself and his family. A struggle at Peniel. Jacob stayed that night alone in the camp at the brook Jabbok. A man appeared and wrestled with him until dawn. As they wrestled, Jacob's hip was put out of joint. "Let me go," said the man. "I will not let you go unless you bless me," replied Jacob. "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel," said the man. "For you struggled with God and man and won." Jacob realized that the stranger was God. He called the place Peniel because he had seen God face to face. After Jacob's encounter with God at Peniel, he was left with a limp. This would always remind him of his meeting with God. Jacob divided his family into 3 groups: the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children, then Rachel and her son Joseph. Jacob bowed before Esau, but Esau ran to him with open arms and welcomed him. All was forgiven. The brothers were reconciled and Jacob's family were introduced. They made their way safely to the land of Canaan. Jacob's prayers had been answered. We're going to have a look at Fact File. Asking for a blessing. When someone asks God for favour on themselves or another person. Birthright. The right of the firstborn to inherit the father's blessing and a double share of the inheritance. They also assumed headship of the family when the father died. Think spot. Jealousy and feuding lead to stress and heartache. Deal with this by following God's advice. Remember that God tells us to forgive people and love our enemies. When he was on the cross to save his people from their sins, he even forgave the people who were hurting him. Jesus is the best example. We can pray for the safety of our family, just as Jacob did. Our safety comes from God. It is a comfort to know that God is in control of everything that happens in our lives. Trusting in Jesus gives us safety for eternity. Jacob had his name changed by God from Jacob to Israel. There are other examples of name changes in the Bible. Saul changed to Paul, Sarai to Sarah, Abram to Abraham. We learn today of the forgiveness that Esau showed to his brother Jacob. After they'd been separated for 20 years, he was ready to run out to greet his brother and to show forgiveness to him. We're reminded again today that God answers our prayers. He answered the prayer of Jacob to keep him and his family safe. Our memory verse today is from Psalm 65, verse 2. O you who hear prayer, to you all men will come. This is our craft today. We've got just some normal cartridge paper and lolly sticks stuck down on uprights I've drawn with pen to produce a ladder. We're remembering Jacob's dream where he saw the ladder up to heaven, and there were angels descending and ascending on this ladder. And what I've done is I've used lollipop sticks on this one and drawn a cross where the rungs meet the upright to make it look like they're tied down with rope. And on this one I used strips of paper. And it's up to you whether you decide to write the memory verse down on the bottom of the page, or you could ask an adult to help you, or you can write the verse spread out down the rungs. I've only done 6 rungs on this ladder and 5 on this one because that's how many lollipop sticks I had. And you can make it as elaborate as you like, and you could even, if you've got time, cut out some angel shapes from paper, and you could tuck them in behind the rungs of the ladder or stick them on so that you can decorate your ladder. And we're remembering that this was the dream that Jacob had when he laid his head down on a stone for a pillow. I'm not sure I would like a stone for a pillow, but he used that stone then to mark the space where he had had his dream. So I look forward to seeing your craft when we have our Zoom chat later on today. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for all of the children and their families who have joined us today. I pray that this lesson today would be a blessing to them and to their families. Thank you that you are the mighty forgiver, that through your Son Jesus, though we sin, we can come to you and seek forgiveness. And thank you that you forgive us so fully that you run to us with open arms. Help us to give the same forgiveness to those around us, especially when we can feel distant from them. I pray that you would watch over each of the families, guide them and teach them through your word. Thank you for the Bible. Thank you that we can read your word and learn from it. I pray that it would inform our choices in life and that we would remember you are our guide and our forgiver through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
We hope you enjoyed that story. Now is the time to get started on that craft and to work on answering those questions. At 12:30 today, we'll be doing a Zoom chat live with all the different children who would like to partake and do that so that the kids can see each other and they can see what they've done with their crafts as well as verify their answers. So please feel free to come along. Just drop me an email at the email you see at the bottom here, and I will make sure that you are included in that Zoom chat. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Lord's Day.